Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to Today in Bitcoin, or Today in Litecoin, maybe. Today is February 7th, 2017, my second show of the day. And on this show, we have a very special guest that you guys have requested, actually, and who is very well known in the cryptocurrency world. And I am obviously very, very excited to have him on here today. Let me introduce to you the man behind Litecoin, a guy who works at Coinbase, correct? Charlie Lee.
Hey Adam, it's nice to be here.
Awesome. Charlie is pretty calm. Well, Adam, high energy. So again, thank you for being here. You're awesome. Everyone loves you. So the first question, people always talk about, or they used to at the beginning, Litecoin is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. What does Litecoin mean to you? What is your where do you see Litecoin fitting into the cryptocurrency puzzle?
Yeah, so that phrase, I think I actually came up with that phrase initially. When I created Litecoin, I always thought Bitcoin was like digital gold. And before I found out about Bitcoin, I like dabbled in trading like gold and silver, owned some physical gold and silver, and really understood how that was really money before fiat currency took over, right? So I actually did want to create silver to Bitcoin's gold. So that was like my purpose of creating Litecoin. And so the whole thought was that Bitcoin would be used for like large transactions, large purchases like houses and cars, and maybe moving money between banks. And Litecoin could be potentially be used for smaller purchases like coffees and meals and stuff. But I actually did see the scaling problem like happening eventually, because Bitcoin cannot really be like everything to everyone. So initially, when the first few years when people were using it, the block rewards were paying for everything. So the fees were low, it's decentralized, transactions were fast, blocks were empty, and highly secure. It just worked perfectly as a store of value and a form of payment. And it was like people just got really excited because it was like a perfect money, right? But being decentralized means that it's not efficient, right? If you want efficiency, you want one server running something and that handles everything, and it doesn't have to talk to 1,000 other nodes and try to come up with a consensus. So by definition, decentralization means inefficiency. So once a block reward starts decreasing, what's going to happen, right? You have to make a trade-off. Do you want low fees, or do you want high security? Do you want decentralization, or do you want fast payments? So, I mean, back then I wasn't thinking that clearly about it, but I had a notion that we would need something like a silver to Bitcoin's gold, and I just put forth Litecoin, which is a copy of Bitcoin with a few changes so people can mine on CPUs, and also reducing the transaction confirmation times, because 10 minutes seems just way too long and way too conservative. And that was it. And it became a much bigger hit than I had expected.
Well, yes, and we love you for it. Everyone is happy that there is a Litecoin in this world, I think, because it was an honest start, and it was, I mean, people consider it the first altcoin, which I guess it was. Now, we know that there are issues in the Bitcoin world right now, and segregated witness implementation, Segwit, is on the table. And I just want you to make it clear, you support Segwit in Bitcoin and you support Segwit in Litecoin, correct?
Correct. So just a little bit about Segwit. So I found out about Segwit like it was 2 years ago at the Scaling Bitcoin conference, when Peter Willey basically came out of nowhere with this proposal that blew everyone away. If you were there, you were like, wow, this is like something that kills like 5 birds with 1 stone. And the beauty of it is it can be done with a soft fork. So it was pretty amazing. I mean, it's a really ingenious solution to, I mean, it solves transaction malleability, which is a huge pain. Transaction malleability gives life to Lightning networks. It solves like the quadratic hashing problem where someone can attack Bitcoin even now with a huge block, causing everyone to take forever to validate it. What else does it solve? Like just basically moving the signatures to a separate place makes it so that you can just prune it, right? After a while, signatures don't really help that much. Once like a transaction is deep in the blockchain, like weeks back, there's no way anyone can undo that transaction. So you don't no longer have to like verify that the signature is correct, because when it actually did happen 2 weeks ago, millions of nodes or whatever, thousands of nodes and miners all verified it. So you can be pretty sure it's good. So you throw this extra data away, right? There's lots of good stuff in Segwit. Let's see if I can think of what else is good. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is it increases the block capacity by almost 2x. And all that can be done with the soft fork. And I mean, back then, people were talking about like, oh, how dangerous a hard fork is. It could potentially split into 2 coins. A lot of people were like, oh, that's BS. I mean, even Brian Armstrong came out and said like, there's no way that's going to happen. And then it happened with Ethereum Classic. And people realized, wow, this is like really bad. With Ethereum, $1 billion market cap, it was bad, right? But it wasn't that bad because Ethereum was just experimental. It was trying to do something different. But if it happened to Bitcoin, if Bitcoin split into Bitcoin Classic or Bitcoin Limited or whatever you want to call it, or Bitcoin 2 or something like that, like it's going to set the whole cryptocurrency movement back by like 5 years, right? New people will come in and say, wait, what is this? I mean, Litecoin already confuses people. So if you come in and say, oh, there's actually 2 Bitcoin, one does this, one does that, and pick and choose. And then
I
like hurt everyone. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a nightmare scenario. I mean, I don't know why people could not learn from this, what happened with Ethereum. That was the test net for this, should we say.
Yeah, and Ethereum had like maybe 10% of people. I mean, I was on the Ethereum Classic side. I thought what they did was just wrong because the whole point was uncensorable transactions or code or applications, and they basically went and censored an application. But that said, there was like 10% of people who were against it. It's hard to tell, right? And even then, it's split into 2 coins. Bitcoin, looking at the current like scaling debate, it's almost like half, or maybe, I don't know exactly. It's hard to tell because people are loud on Reddit and on Twitter. You just don't know what the real consensus is. So if we do anything, a hard fork in a controversial way, it's going to split into 2. There's no doubt about that because it's controversial.
So I feel, now staying on this segregated witness subject here, but putting it on the Litecoin here, I feel that there's a special relationship between Litecoin and Bitcoin. And I feel like Litecoin is one of the few coins out there that has no problem being the number 2 to Bitcoin. It's not trying to overtake Bitcoin. And I don't think there's anything wrong trying to be the test net for Bitcoin. Just improve, doing the things that they're slow to do before they do it. And I think that's actually a way to get people interested in Litecoin. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, ever since I created this coin, I wanted to be a complement to Bitcoin and not competing. And one of the things I made sure was that Litecoin, I mean, people criticize it, but I did it on purpose, is to keep the Litecoin code base almost exactly the same as Bitcoin so that any improvements with Bitcoin can be easily ported over to Litecoin. And only changing a few things that I thought needed changing, fixing a bug, a difficulty retargeting bug, switching to script because I noticed that if it was doing SHA-256, it would compete with Bitcoin for miners, and it would cause a lot of chaos where miners would mine Litecoin, or at least with Namecoin, mine Namecoin, and then mine Bitcoin, and mine Namecoin, and Namecoin's difficulty like just jump back up and down, causing they had to merge mine. So I had to switch the proof of work, and script was something that would, at least for a short time, let people still mine on their CPUs. And then lastly, I reduced the block size, the block times by 4. So it's instead of 10 minutes, it's 2.5 minutes. So it's faster. I figured that's safe, at least safe enough. And because of that, it made it 4 times as many coins, and that was it. That was like the major stuff I changed, and I made sure the launch was very fair, and there was no pre-mine or anything like that, so nothing shady going on. So because of that, it's very easy for Litecoin to get to take advantage of all the improvements that Bitcoin developers have done over the years. And the Segwit thing is interesting because it's something that it's a huge change, but it's something that's been very well tested. It's an amazing feature, and Bitcoin developers have been working on it for 2+ years, and we can't launch it on Bitcoin. So if we manage to launch this on Litecoin, this will be like the first time in open source history where like the fork is able to like use code written by the master branches developers before the original software can do that itself, which is like, that's weird. So we can like steal Bitcoin's code and have it work on Litecoin. So that's actually pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. There's a lot of expectation with Litecoin to do this, to see what happens. Because there hasn't been much news in the Litecoin world or that the rest of the crypto world knows about lately. This is the big one right now. So my question for you is this a make or break moment for Litecoin? If they, for some reason, if segregated witness doesn't start on Litecoin, is this like the end? Or I mean, I don't want to create any FUD here, but it's a legitimate question that I've been asked.
How should I say this? So the reason why Segwit is not activated on Bitcoin is purely political. Like some miners, some users are pushing for initially like Bitcoin XT, then Classic, now Bitcoin Unlimited, but basically pushing for something that I think is bad for Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin needs to be the most decentralized and most secure network, and focus on that first, and then try to scale, but make sure it's scaling safely, right? Doing BU is just so reckless. Bitcoin Classic was reckless, Bitcoin XT was reckless. So having this political issue come up, it's preventing Bitcoin from improving. And Segwit, no doubt, is a huge improvement. It's like a no-brainer to me. So the good thing is Litecoin does not have a scaling solution, does not have a scaling problem, right? One thing I mentioned previously to people is if Segwit did not include a scaling, like a scaling improvement, there would be less opposition, which is like, if you think about it, that is just dumb, right? If Segwit did not double like the capacity, BU people would be like, oh, that's okay, we'll soft fork that, but we still want a hard fork. But because it included a capacity bump, it's being blocked. How silly and stupid is that? So I don't want this like silly Bitcoin politics to come into the Litecoin world, because Litecoin does not have a scaling problem. So if people are gonna say, or miners or pools are gonna say, we don't want to do Segwit, not because it's not good technically, but because of scaling issue, I'm just gonna tell them to like, that I don't want to talk to them, right? Like, you don't have the best interest of Litecoin in mind. So I think that's one reason why I'm on your show, right? I'm trying to kind of tell people what I think about Segwit and why it's good for Litecoin, right? One thing we'll probably talk about later is Lightning networks, how that helps Litecoin, right? So as far as whether or not Segwit will activate on Litecoin, I have no doubt it will activate on Litecoin. For one, the users I've talked to, the people that actually matter, all are for it. No one's against it. There's like, some people are against it maybe because it's a little bit complicated, they don't understand it, they don't understand the benefits. But if you really like dig deep into it and understand what's going on, you're not against it. And if you are, it's because of political reasons. You're like, oh, maybe if Segwit gets activated on Litecoin, then people are going to use that to pressure Bitcoin to activate it. I don't want it to be activated on Bitcoin. So all this is political. So I think users are like 90% plus for it. So the economic nodes are for it. So right now, if the miners are against it, I mean, there are options that we can do. So I obviously don't want to go into like what we can do to kind of like make it happen. But I mean, one thing that could happen is a hard fork, right? So which is dangerous, and I don't want to do that, right? So like if we want to improve or fix something with Litecoin and everyone is for it and there's no controversy, we can hard fork and it can be relatively safe if we give it enough time. So Segwit could be something like that, but it can be done in a safe way. So yeah, so it all depends on. So I'm trying to convince. I'm having like an AMA with the Chinese community tonight, trying to convince the miners and pools there to understand where I'm coming from and see if they'll support me or support our team. Yeah,
I will say this. This is marketing. This is. Whoa! You got me. You got me on echo here. So you must have opened something. Okay, that's better. All right. No, I was going to ask you about the lack of marketing in the Litecoin community, in the cryptocurrency space, and you basically are saying you're out here on my channel. You're going to talk to the guys tonight. That's marketing. I feel there is a lack of marketing of these just overall of Litecoin to the entire crypto community, but the Litecoin community itself should be actively creating a marketing plan to get everyone comfortable with this segregated witness, so that there are no arguments, so that if you're considering not doing it, there's going to be some sort of almost a pressure on you, like, well, everybody else is talking about it. Because right now, I don't feel like I don't know if everyone else is talking about it. I don't feel, and it could easily get to 75%. I think it will. I don't know if they're going to have a difficult time doing it, but I think it'd be a lot easier if this was, because this is a huge event in Litecoin. It should be all over all the coverage on the internet of the pages that talk about cryptocurrency and stuff. So I think the outreach you're doing is marketing, and
sure.
It's great. And I just wanted to hear your opinion on the lack of, is marketing thought of as a bad thing amongst technical people in cryptocurrency? Do you think, is it considered taboo or just something you don't want to touch?
I think it's just technical people are not necessarily good at marketing. So, yeah, and messages get confused. So so they're not good at it. So they don't do it. From my point of view, I mean, in the end, like Litecoin, Bitcoin, they're currencies, right? Or they're trying to be money. So you don't see like people marketing the euro over the dollar. Please use euro because euro is so much better than dollar, right? And I don't go out and do that, right? Some currencies go out to Bitcoin conferences and buy ads, or do like going to like different merchants, trying to convince them, or different exchanges, trying to convince them to accept it, doing a lot of spending a lot of money on marketing. Unfortunately, like Litecoin, we don't have money to spend on marketing. We're all volunteers, and we're volunteering our time on development. So we do have Litecoin Association that spends some of its resources on marketing and stuff, and creating, helping us keep some Litecoin services running, stuff like that. And one thing I wanted to mention though is that recently I've been spending a lot more time on Litecoin because I want to help getting the segregated witness feature activated on Litecoin. And I'm spending almost all my time on getting the message across as opposed to coding. I haven't touched Litecoin code in so long. It's not that I can't, it's just that I feel like my time is better spent trolling Twitter and Reddit, trying to get the message across one word and other, that why segregated witness is good for Litecoin and also good for Bitcoin, and why that is good for the whole crypto sphere.
Well, I think you're leading by example with that. You are in fact a volunteer for Litecoin, and you're showing the other people out there that have the marketing skills, perhaps they should be volunteering, also spreading the word. Because in the long run, if you're a member of the Litecoin community, you hold Litecoin, and this is what I believe, and you hold Litecoin and you volunteer to help do marketing, just grassroots stuff, your Litecoin will go up in value. So it's very much, it's a volunteer type of thing, but in the long run, it'll be very good for you, for the coin financially and yourself. So I mean, I think you definitely understand it, and I think in a forum like this, I just wanted to put it out there because I know a lot of Litecoin people are watching, and a lot of other cryptocurrency people are watching right now. So I think there is a complete lack of marketing in the entire cryptocurrency space. There are ways to do it as a volunteer and not get paid, but you are going to get paid in the long run because your coin's going to go up in value.
Yeah, the real problem with that is that there's like a freeloader problem, right? You can not do anything, and someone else is doing the marketing. The price goes up, and you make as much money as someone else. So that's always a problem. I mean, we're relying on the volunteering work of people to help push this space and push Litecoin. Yeah, but I mean, in the end, like the development team is mostly focused on just making sure, like adding features, and most important thing is the security of the network, right? We don't want to add something that is risky and all of a sudden there's a fork in the chain or something bad happens. So we just have to be very careful and very conservative there. So we're focused on our efforts on those few things and not on marketing per se.
And that's and the development team, just to make clear, they are totally volunteers also, correct?
Right. Yep.
Yes, of course. And so just as they stepped up, I mean, there's guys who could be developers who are holding a lot of Litecoin who are quote unquote, I mean, freeloading, but they're real, as I was just saying the term that you used. I mean, there's always going to be people not contributing everything that they could in a volunteer type of situation. And my point is that some of these marketing volunteers, I'm saying in every cryptocurrency, it's time for you guys to step up because there's a unique opportunity out there. I don't think, I think obviously there should be a lot of focus on development for every single coin out there, but hardly anyone is getting onto the marketing side. And when they do, like Dash, they get attacked a lot. Now, we're not going to get into all that stuff now and how they arrange their marketing. But I mean, it seems like marketing in general leaves a bad taste in some people's mouth, and that's not traditional business there. I mean, Vinny Lingham said the other day there's a lot of lack of business sense in the cryptocurrency world, and I have to agree. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that aspect of it. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, this is still like a really young movement, right? Companies are trying to find what the killer app is with Bitcoin, trying to figure out how to make money. So there's a lot of learning that still needs to be done.
All right. So you mentioned you're trolling around on social media or whatever, and it's not really trolling. You're very polite, and your explanations are great. Now you came out, and I'm going to link to your Twitter below. You came out with an awesome tweet the other day, and there's a siren going on in the background. Sorry about that, everyone. But you came out with an awesome tweet the other day where you gave what makes you want to get interested in an altcoin? What are the specific qualities? So I'll mute me here. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're referring to the tweet where I went into few properties of coins that the siren is really that makes what makes me want to invest in another altcoin, right? So yeah, so I mean, I've been in this space for a while, right? I was the first altcoin is actually Namecoin, and after that there were a few others like Xcoin, IOcoin, SolidCoin. I can go on and on. There were like a dozen or so altcoins before Litecoin came out. And one of the things I noticed with all these other altcoins, I mean, other than Namecoin, is that the creators of those altcoins were all like trying to strike it rich. They saw Satoshi made a lot of Bitcoin or money, and they're like, I can do this too. It's just I copy this, I make some changes, I print some coins, I make it like be very loud about it, get a lot of people interested, and then I can potentially make a lot of money. And that's what happened with a lot of these coins. Some coin pre-mined like 600,000, a coin pre-mined 7 million coins. It's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, it was small scale compared to what happened like in 2013, where all coins exploded. But even back then, I saw like human greed, right? And that just turns me off like big time. So when I'm looking at a coin, one of the main things I'm looking at is whether or not it was fairly launched, whether or not the developers really actually wanted to create something that improves on something, or were they actually just they have a neat idea and they think, hey, this can actually make me millions of dollars. I'm going to do an ICO. I'm going to sell coin tokens for millions of dollars, but these tokens are actually really not that useful. It's just for me to make money in a kind of semi-legit way and get a big payout, right? So I look at that and I mean, I spot like it's pretty obvious to me when some of these coins are just scams. I mean, they may not be like, I mean, scam is like a really harsh word and it's overused. These coins may not be like, developers may have decent intentions. They didn't come out to try to scam people, but they were designed in such a way that it would bound to become a scam. Like where coin inflation was really high initially, like you do instant mine when you're mining initially, you make a lot of money, a lot of coins, and then afterwards the network cannot survive because it's not designed properly. So one thing, like when I designed Litecoin, I knew like Bitcoin worked. Satoshi's block reward halving schedule of halving every 4 years works. The reason why he did that is because you want to give Bitcoin time to grow, and then eventually it will have enough transactions where the transaction fees can pay for the miners. So initially the block rewards are high, but it gets halved every 4 years. Some coins like Dogecoin, for example, reduced that to every 2 months. And that was just that could not survive. And they had to merge mine because the coin just could not keep itself alive because the block rewards were just halving too quickly. Stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't trying to be a scam, but it turned out to be like not sustainable. So I think the intentions of developers are really important. Competent developers are really important. Some coins had good intentions, but did not really have a competent team. Let's see, what else did I say? It has to be innovative, right? It has to actually provide some value. And not just like a Me Too product. Like a lot of coins are like, hey, Ethereum is doing this decentralized apps, I can do it too. I'm going to write mine in Lisp or some other language, and everything else is, the idea is the same, with just a different programming language, different code base. And that's just silly, right? That's like, oh, I'm going to write my JavaScript. I'm going to write a coin in Pascal and call it Pascal coin. But like that, I mean, I'm not trying to say Pascal coin is a scam. Because I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. So don't like take that like in the wrong way. But things like that just like bothers me, where it's like a solution. A lot of them are like solutions looking for a problem. Like Steemit, for example. It's like, hey, I want like decentralized Reddit. Yeah, it's awesome. There's a reason why decentralized anything is decentralized everything, right? And then you look back and say like, why? Like a centralized Reddit works very efficiently. Why do you need a decentralized Reddit or stuff like that? It's just you have to pay attention to. And then,
well, let me ask you. You touched on. I think you say your tweets are very well read. People really listen to what you say. As the founder, and you just mentioned specific coins And you've mentioned, and in that tweet that we're referring to, where you listed what makes a good altcoin investment, you mentioned something called Decred, which I had never even heard of before, or barely had. And then it gave it like this legitimacy in my head, actually. It probably added legitimacy to a lot of other people. Are you careful with your words, since you are, I mean, you don't own Litecoin, obviously, but you're very much associated with Litecoin. Are you careful with what you say, just because you don't want to affect the Litecoin market, you don't want to affect other people's markets? And is that something that goes through your thought process a lot?
No, I'm not very careful with what I say. It doesn't go through my thought process a lot. Maybe it should, but I don't care that much. I say what I think, and if it, like, for example, like Decred, like people are saying like, why are you pumping Decred? And I'm like, I really like the coin. I think it's very innovative, and it's doing something that no one has been able to do before, and has a really strong team. And if you try it, it's actually it's a fun coin to play around with, the staking part of it. And yeah, I mean, I do own some because I think it has good potential, and I see a lot of good things about it. And because I'm influential, it kind of pumps the coin. But I'm not doing it. So I have no, I don't feel guilty about it, because I'm not doing it to make myself rich. I'm not pumping the coin and then selling it. I'm buying and holding, and spreading the news that this is a great coin for people to check out, and that helps the value grow, which is good for everyone. But I'm not trying to pump and dump it, so I don't see anything wrong with that. And I do comment a lot about Litecoin. I mean, I talk about when I buy Litecoin, when I think it's underpriced, when I think, if the government ever comes down and says like creators cannot talk about their own coin because it's illegal, because there's insider trading or whatever, then obviously I'm going to follow those rules. But there's nothing of that sort right now, and I don't think there's anything like bad that I'm doing. Do you? I mean, is there?
No. And see, well, this was what I was going to say. I can tell you're very, very honest by your answers, by your tweets. And the reason I brought this up is not because of the worry of you. I know you're not trying to pump anybody else's coin, and I know you're not trying to hurt your own coin. But there's some times that you're so honest about Litecoin, it's almost like it's FUD. I mean, I forgot what it was. And so I think maybe when I even asked you the question, maybe you thought about that. Well, maybe do I say too much about Litecoin that could hurt, that could do the opposite? You just addressed all the issues of, pumps but you're so honest that I think you might have to watch your words when you're just way too, like, people might interpret it as FUD when you don't even mean it to be that, but there might be panic.
But like in the end, I think if I'm being honest, everything else will fall into place. Like I told people, my crypto portfolio, I had like 9% Litecoin. This was like a few weeks ago, and I'm not gonna lie about it. It's the truth, because Litecoin price dropped like 90%. So initially it was 50 Bitcoin and Litecoin, and after a few years, it's now like whatever, 80 Bitcoin and 9% Litecoin, and I bought some other coins. It's a truth. And then people are like, well, you shouldn't say that because it means like the Litecoin creator doesn't actually believe in Litecoin as much. But I mean, it's the truth. You can take it whatever you want. I did not pre-mine Litecoin, so all the Litecoins I bought, all the Litecoins I have were either mined or bought, just like everyone else. So, and I hold Litecoin. I believe in it. Recently, I bought more of it because I think that Segwit would help it. I want to. I think it's going to, like, it will go up in value with respect to Bitcoin. And I was public about it. And I mean, in the end, I don't care about the price of the coin. As long as Litecoin doesn't die and go to zero, I'm fine with it. I mean, it's, I mean, we're not, like, as developers of the coin, we're not focused on like the day-to-day price of Litecoin. If we're coding to try to, like, pump up the price and get more investors and just get more people excited about it and have the price go skyrocket, go towards the moon. If we're doing that, we're gonna put like really bad features in Litecoin that would that hurts Litecoin. Other coins do that. I won't name specifics, but coins do like, hey, we want the price to go up, so let's reduce the amount of coins in circulation, and the price will go up obviously because there's less emission. But that's bad, right? That's like you're just making the early adopters wealthy, just to like you're reducing supply artificially just because you want to pump the price. And doing stuff like that is just really bad for the long-term future of your coin. So we won't do that. And I don't care what happens. Litecoin can go to $2, can go to $1, like in the next week, whatever. As long as we can get Segwit activated within a year, and we can get Lightning Networks on Litecoin, I'm okay. I believe Litecoin will have a good future if we can do that.
All right, now speaking of the future, I had a future question for you, and it involves altcoins and it involves Litecoin. Let's pretend it's June of 2020 now, and the Bitcoin halving is about to happen, or it just happened. How many altcoins will have survived from now to then? And what do you foresee for Litecoin by then? But most importantly, how many altcoins will have survived? Why did X amount survive? And what are the purpose for these altcoins that made it to 2020?
I mean, surviving can mean different things, right? If you have one node running, you can keep a coin alive forever, right? So coins can survive with like really low market cap, a few users, and that's fine. In terms of like having coins of significant value and actually like moving the market, being used, I think there won't be that many, maybe 5 to 10, right? And they will have different use cases. So, like I said initially, like Bitcoin cannot be the coin for everyone because it just can't, right? Some people want like fully anonymous fungible coin, like Monero is one of these coins. At least it hasn't been broken yet, right? The fungibility. It may prove to be really strong. Bitcoin, I don't think can become as good as Monero because Monero is like every single transaction is hidden. Like there's nothing is, well, that's what they want to be. Nothing is visible. So Bitcoin will never get there. Like it will always be controversial for Bitcoin to actually look. I mean, look at how hard Segwit is. If we add like privacy to Bitcoin, like it's really hard to get through, to get adopted. So there will always be a section of users, potentially because they want to buy drugs, or potentially because they don't want to be tracked. Because like I bought some coins from an exchange, I sent it to a merchant, or I sent it to a friend for and then he saw like how many coins I bought because he can link back and see, oh, it came from a stash of 20 Bitcoins. So you definitely have that many Bitcoins. It's like, okay, now like for some, like because of that, he knew how many Bitcoins at least that purchase had, or Litecoins. But with Monero, I bought some Monero recently, and I pasted I copied and pasted the transaction hash in the block explorer to some friends, just to show them that I can show you the transaction that I withdrew Monero from the exchange, and you have no idea how many Moneros I got. You have no idea like what my address is. You will have no idea when I actually spend it. You will have no idea if I'm using it for anything, right? And that's pretty powerful. And that's something that Bitcoin cannot do right now and may never be able to do. And then like there's like coins like Ethereum that's trying to be a decentralized application platform. That's something that Bitcoin has actually actively went against when it reduced the number of opcodes, because in order to become like the most secure, trusted store of value, it cannot have opcodes that can do random things that could potentially have bugs that leads to people losing money. So Bitcoin actually went the other way for good reason and stuff like that, right? So I think there will be coins like a coin that's good for a decentralized application, a coin that's good for fungibility. I think Litecoin will work closely with Bitcoin via Lightning Network to provide store value and transactional capability, like payment method for a lot of people. And there might be a few others. There's a coin like that does decentralized storage, like Sia coin. There's a few of those. I don't know which one will actually come out on top. Decred is trying to do governance that is very innovative. Where Bitcoin, we're seeing like Bitcoin cannot, it's really hard to change and improve Bitcoin. Whereas using proof of stake, Decred can do proof of stake voting to decide how to hard fork. So a proposal to hard fork to 2 megabytes or a proposal to add Segwit, and then people who actually have stake will vote. And then the vote will be binding, and the coin would just automatically upgrade to the protocol that people vote on. So that's unheard of right now, and that will solve a lot of problems, and potentially it could become a very useful coin. So things like that. So I think like there will be top 5, top 10 coins that will actually have meaningful value.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a good explanation. Now you mentioned the Lightning Network. I know you want to talk about the Lightning Network, so go at it now. What would you want to say about the Lightning Network and Litecoin and Bitcoin?
Sure. So I wrote about this in a blog post. It's my vision of like how Lightning Network will work on Bitcoin and Litecoin. So when I actually, and to be honest, when I launched Litecoin, saying like Litecoin is silver to Bitcoin's gold, it didn't really mean much in terms of helping Bitcoin, that people will use Litecoin for small transactions, because when I first launched it didn't make much sense, right? But now with Lightning Networks, I see like the true potential of Litecoin. Which is that what Lightning Network provides is ability for cross-chain payments. So if you have Lightning Networks on Bitcoin and Lightning Networks on Litecoin, you can potentially pay someone using Litecoin and they will receive Bitcoin, or vice versa. And because it's all connected, you can have pathfinding algorithms that find like the lowest fee. So potentially paying them, because Bitcoin is still going to it will still have a small block size for security reasons, and because maybe it's just not easy to hard fork. I mean, never hard fork to a larger block size. So fees will be high. So because the blockchain fees will be high, the on-chain fees will be high, Lightning Networks on Bitcoin will still have relatively high fees. It likely will not be able to do microtransactions. Or maybe it can, but I'm just saying, like, actually, take it back. I don't think it can do microtransactions because Lightning Network nodes will have to charge based on the value. We'll have to charge these transactions, and based on how much it would cost them to put these on-chain transactions onto the Bitcoin network. And because that's high, they're going to have to charge more. Whereas Lightning Network on Litecoin will have lower fees. So potentially, in order to send money from A to B, you might want to go through Litecoin for lower fees and come back to Bitcoin and do conversions. Basically, a node is broadcasting saying, I'm okay with converting 1 Bitcoin with whatever many Litecoins, and then another node would do the opposite. So you go through Litecoin and then come back to Bitcoin and do the payment, and all that will be kind of hidden, invisible to the user, and it will be fast, right? So that's something that I can potentially see happening. And Bitcoin with Lightning can do a lot. Add Litecoin with Lightning, it can just compound the amount of users we can support. So you see Litecoin, the Lightning Network on Litecoin as like a mechanism to kind of join the two coins to help Bitcoin out, and behind the scenes type of mechanism. Yeah. The example I gave in my blog post is that Bitcoin is like a city where there's just so many cars, too many cars around, too many people. Litecoin is a city next to it that is empty. It's not used right now. It has all the infrastructure similar to Bitcoin, but it's not used. And the reason why it's not used is because it's so hard to get from Bitcoin to Litecoin. Right now, you have to go through like an exchange. Shapeshift makes it easier, but it's not programmatic. It's also not atomic, where I can exchange Bitcoin with you with Litecoin, and it's atomic exchange where either you get it, either the exchange happens or it doesn't. You can't steal Litecoins from me. I can't steal Bitcoins from you. So what Lightning Network provides is building like bridges or highways, and it helps Bitcoin. But the beauty of it is once you build those bridges and highways, they actually can connect with each other. Litecoin bridge can connect to the Bitcoin bridge. So traffic can actually move to the Litecoin city and use that everything's a bit cheaper there if it needs to. Maybe it doesn't need to, but we will see, right? Once the connections are available, we'll see if it actually is useful. So it basically makes it creates a huge, a possibility of that was never previously possible. So I'm very excited about that.
And obviously, this is a huge reason why everyone's got to get on the ball with Segwit in the Litecoin world, correct?
Yeah, and I'm for Litecoin. I'm for Segwit and Lightning on both Litecoin and Bitcoin, right? I'm not like selfish. I'm not saying like, hey, we should just steal Segwit, have like Lightning on Litecoin, but screw Bitcoin. Bitcoin like replace Bitcoin with Litecoin, right? I think it can work really well together. I mean, that's like my vision. I don't know if it will come true. Maybe like Lightning on Bitcoin can serve everybody in the world and low fees. It's like the perfect solution. If that's the case, then great. I mean, my Litecoin value will go down, but like Bitcoin value will go up and everyone will be happy. So, so definitely don't put all your eggs in Litecoin. Look at my portfolio mix, which is pretty even now. And don't invest in when you can afford to lose. That's always a good thing.
What is your portfolio mix right now exactly?
It's like I have Bitcoin. I have the most Bitcoin. Second is Litecoin, a little bit less in terms of like dollar value. I have some. What's that?
No, I didn't want you to give the dollar. I mean,
no, I'm saying the mix.
I didn't want you to think I was asking you super personal stuff.
I'm not going to give you the dollar value. I'm saying the mix is in terms of dollar value, not the number of coins, right? Some people like say, hey, one Litecoin is worth $3, but one Ethereum is worth $12, so it must be better, right? It's not, you don't compare like that. Anyways, so in terms of like dollar value, I have the most Bitcoin, a little bit less Litecoin, a little bit less of that is Monero, and I also have a bunch of Decred. And that's all I'm holding right now.
All right. This is, I thought it was going to be something like that. So you talked, but you got me again on echo there. Okay, that's better. So one thing you just mentioned is that there's some people out there, they're newbies to the crypto space who are like, well, my Ethereum is worth $12, your thing's worth $3. You know, that's lunacy, what they were saying, comparing them that way. But there are a lot of people who think like that. There are a lot of new people.
I'll tell you a funny thing I saw on CNBC. Like this is like 4 or 5 years ago, before I found out about Bitcoin. So maybe even longer than that. There's this analyst on CNBC was comparing gold with oil, and he was saying gold at back then it was like maybe $1,500. He was saying gold at $1,500. And oil was like $100 or something. He was like, gold at $1,500 is overvalued because oil is only $100. And gold is not 15 times as useful as oil. We use oil to drive cars. We don't do anything with gold. It's not 15 times more valuable than oil. And I was like, this is CNBC. And they're comparing an ounce of gold with a barrel of oil and using that as reasoning why gold should drop in price and oil should go up. And that is just that's pretty ridiculous.
But that shows you in the financial world, even in the investment world, there are people with mathematical deficiencies or mathematical confusions, and they're entering this altcoin world, crypto world, Bitcoin world, whatever you want to call it. So there are people coming in with some messed up mathematical stuff in their head, and because of that, people are getting caught up in scams. And that's not cool. So my specific question is one of the biggest scams in Bitcoin and Litecoin is cloud mining. I mean, tell me your thoughts on this cloud mining phenomena, and what all of us can do to stop scams or to help people who are mathematically challenged to get their heads on straight, so they just hold instead of like wasting all of their Bitcoin and Litecoin.
Yeah, I mean, cloud mining, I don't know, is there a legit one today? I mean, I don't know. So like, I think it was Gavin and Andreessen that mentioned this like way back when. He said cloud mining, I think it was him, don't quote me on it. Someone said cloud mining may not be a scam, but it will become a scam. Like because there's the incentives of cloud miners to become scam is just too great. So like, you're buying hash rate that you don't see, and then you're getting Bitcoin in return. You're paying Bitcoin initially, and then you're getting Bitcoin back in return. So, I mean, what's the point? If the cloud miner is actually hosting mining machines and it's making more Bitcoins with the Bitcoin they put in, then why don't they mine themselves and not give you the bet profit? If they're going to give you the profit, then there's something else is going. Then it's like a Ponzi scheme. Because why would they give you more profit and not keep it themselves? So cloud mining is kind of like, it will lead to a Ponzi scheme. And I believe that. And it's kind of silly. So yeah, and there's tons of other scams in this community. I mean, it comes with money, I guess. When there's money involved, there's scams.
Yes, and people just do not understand math. Your gold oil example gets transferred into this space over here. Now, we're gonna
even like when people compare market caps of coins, they don't look at trade volume. So like two coins can have the same market cap, but one has like 10 times the trade volume, and that matters a lot because what that means is if you try to like pull coins out of that market, try to sell your stash, you're gonna like kill the coin if it has very low trade volume. So even then, like people don't understand it, and then people talk about like Bitcoin dominance, right? Like CoinMarketCap has like Bitcoin is worth whatever, $12 billion, $15 billion. All the altcoins are worth like $1 billion. Bitcoin is 86% dominant. But they don't realize like Bitcoin is actually more dominant than people realize, because Bitcoin has so much volume that you can pull a lot of money out of Bitcoin without moving the market. Whereas all these, like if you add up, there's like $1 million of coins. You cannot pull like $1,000 out of that $1 million coins without dropping that market cap to like $1,000. So even though the market cap is, you see it being $1 million, in reality it's only $1,000 because you cannot pull $1 million out of it. People don't realize that, and people don't talk about it. But like if you add up like 1,000 of these $1 million market cap coins, you have $1 billion. But how much money is it really there? It's like very little.
Wow. So, at that point is one that I know Tone Vase, if you're watching this, Tone Vase, woo, you must be, you're going to use that one too now, man. That was a great observation on your part, Charlie. There, I mean, that's all. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one final thing, a couple final things. We've been talking a while. There's a guy out there. Have you heard about the guy who wants to sell his house and then use the proceeds to buy Litecoin?
Yeah, like the truck driver guy. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did sell his house for Litecoin.
No, but he's. I think he might still be planning on it. I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to do my part to make sure you knew about him. He's got his channel's called Bitcoin Litecoin. I will link to it below. He really loves he makes many pro Litecoin videos, and I just wanted you to know that this guy's a big fan. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I posted on one of his videos. I called him Litecoin Jesus because he's like the Bitcoin Jesus for Litecoin. He's cool. And I do hope he doesn't sell his house for Litecoin because that's too crazy. I mean, unless he has like 10 houses, then sure, sell a house for Litecoin. But if it's his only house, I wouldn't recommend selling your house for Litecoin.
It would be an amazing story, an amazing marketing thing for Litecoin if he actually did it. But you're such an honest guy. You just don't put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, that is a big life lesson that we all should take into consideration. I also want to say, I don't know if you know who Doug Casey is. He's a big finance guy through the years. He's popular on the internet. When I interviewed him, I said, "Do you know any other coin but Bitcoin?" And he said, "I've heard of Litecoin. I don't exactly know what it is, but I've heard of Litecoin." So I wanted to tell you that you know, I've talked about lack of marketing, but the word's getting out there somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do need to push it out more. I mean, these days people hear about Ethereum and Monero more than Litecoin, so that needs to change.
And you did your part today, because this Segwit thing, all the things you explained with Lightning Network, this is huge. So if you are a Litecoin person out there, or maybe even not, just spread the word about this, because in the long run, I think I've made videos about this. It's going to help Litecoin. It's going to get Bitcoin to get off their butt and adopt it also, and it'll help both coins, I believe. So are there any closing remarks, anything else that we left out that you wanted to say or anything? The floor is yours.
Let's see. I do hope that Litecoin can do some good, right? A lot of like when I first launched it, for the next like few years after, I mean, all the Bitcoin maximalist people were calling Litecoin a scam, and it's like there's no reason to use it, there's no reason for it to exist. Luchner thinks that it should die, and it's a Ponzi scheme because it has no value. So I like if Litecoin is actually able to help Bitcoin get past this scaling deadlock, I hope we get some redemption from that. So I hope people will actually realize that there is some value to having a currency like Litecoin. Even if you don't use it, it's not a scam, right? It's some people, there's a value to that. So I hope people will realize that one day. Some people may not, but trying to spread the message a bit.
Well, that is actually an awesome conclusion right there. Well, this has been fun. I hope everyone has enjoyed this great opportunity. Charlie Lee, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, that was my second show of the day. You can actually visit my channel at disruptmeister.com. That's a really easy way to get to my YouTube channel if you're new to this channel, or you can look up Bitcoin Meister on YouTube. But as you will see earlier in the day, I posted a video. I interviewed a guy in Zimbabwe about his business that's centered around Bitcoin. So it'd be awesome if you check that one out too. So again, I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, tweet it out. Please check out the notes section below. Also, we've got some really important links. I am going to join you guys in the chat session after this for a little teeny bit. Bye-bye, everyone.